cool.
Basically, somebody's birthday, and then you wait till they're not looking, then about 5 or 6 people come in, ask how old you are.
Okay. I was hoping for like a pizza party, but
You get that pizza after.
First quote. Yeah, I mean, I'm healthy enough. That wouldn't be the issue at all, I don't think. Said retired Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo. Bo, with Dak Prescott struggling terribly with the Cowboys, he'd better off in the short term, giving Tony Romo a call to come out of retirement. It's possible. Really, Mike?
It's possible. And part of that's about Tony Romo, part of that's about Dak Prescott. But I would like to go back. There was a time in the year 2016 where it was me and it was Dominique Foxworth, and we were by ourselves in a place called Romo Island, where everybody had given the job to Dak Prescott. You know why they said he should have had the job?
Why?
Because he was the hot hand. Well, guess what? That was the better quarterback. Right there. Tony Romo was the better quarterback. They made the decision to start the future right then. He might have still been the quarterback now if they had gave him the job to keep.
I was all ready to talk about how going on television tends to fool people into thinking you're better than you are, you're more wise than you are, you're more proficient than you are. But then I realized that Tony Romo isn't even 40 years old. And I realized that if Tony Romo's actually telling the truth here, he might be better. He probably is better than Dak Prescott, at least right now when Dak Prescott can only throw under 200 yards. The question, though, is why Tony Romo would ever want to come back and do that. Because his quality of life right now, man, he is hailed as a genius. He's making money just to second-guess stuff.
But he's a football player, man, and you don't stop being a football player, right? Like, that's what I think it comes down to. Now, what I think we've learned about Tony Romo, these last couple of years have actually been the greatest thing on the Tony Romo Hall of Fame case, because that is a basic offense that people have talked about for a long time. It's a vanilla offense. He hasn't, like, they had the Des Bryant, you had Des Bryant there for a while, but it wasn't like he was really surrounded by great weapons. And we saw him do some pretty incredible things over time that maybe we didn't appreciate enough as they were happening.
And he is a football player, that is true. But he's also a football player who's played through, like, broken ribs and all this stuff, man.
They do, man. I mean, it ain't for me to understand.
Guess not.
All right, next quote. Houston is making a strong effort to land Jimmy Butler. Tweeted Mark Berman of Fox 26 in Houston. Pablo, if the Rockets landed Jimmy Butler for some combination of Eric Gordon and other assets, would that make them better than the Warriors?
No, it would not, but it would be a thing that Daryl Morey would love because he is short on that third superstar. He doesn't have that guy. What he has instead is depth, albeit depth that has been diminished with the loss of Ariza, Bob Moute, and so forth. So would he be an upgrade? Would he be putting them in a position to better make the Western Conference Finals? Yeah, but is it going to be enough to beat the Warriors? No.
Well, hold on, man. I mean, it took the Warriors to 7 last year. So, like, let's not pretend as though the gap between they and the Warriors is that significant. They had a better regular season record, although we know all the factors that go into that one. Here's what I'll say about if they get Jimmy Butler. The question is about what these other assets are, and for me, is P.J. Tucker one of those other assets?
I think he would have to be.
Well, I think, but if he's not, you're talking about the possibility of putting a team out there with Chris Paul, James Harden, P.J. Tucker, and Jimmy Butler.
And Clint Capella.
Right. That's a pretty good defensive unit, right? Like, we are now talking about a team that is, relatively can go small. Capella can do more stuff going out on some of these other guys. But that's an impressive team to go against the Warriors with. I don't know if it makes them better, but it makes me think they have a chance against them in a series.
And what the Rockets have been doing, how they got James Harden, was sort of to wait around for a controversy, a conflict to emerge at another team, and then swoop in with the package to get that valuable asset. So this is absolutely in their playbook. Jimmy Butler's absolutely the two-way player they could use. Right. But how do you think Melo feels about that?
Well, the other question is, I mean, Jimmy Butler's from Houston, but don't everybody want to go home? I don't know that dude like that. He's from Houston-ish, but,
Last quote. It comes off to me as a little insecure when you're taking shots at somebody that's 10, 12 years younger than you. Said Dwight Howard about Shaq's consistent ridiculing of him. Recently, when Dwight challenged him to a roast-off, Shaq had replied, quote, I only battle champions, lil man. You ain't in my division, you in Charles Barkley division. Focus on getting that ring, brother, end quote. Is Dwight right that Shaq is coming off as a little insecure?
I don't know if he's doing it right now. Like, I think there are other times where this has happened. They've got a bizarre frenemy relationship also, and it has been, and about the Superman name and all of this. Like, their whole thing is weird because they're sometimes friendly. Like, I don't know what the answer is on that, but the thing is, man, Dwight Howard ain't never going to really come at Shaq. Shaq comes at him so hard. How does this not get boring for Shaq? It doesn't get boring for Shaq.
No, Shaq enjoys this, and I think Steven Jackson on the jump yesterday raised a good point about this. Those two guys, absent the resumes and absent the statistics even, they are kind of alike in personality. I think when Shaq sees Dwight, he sees a guy who is biting his style, and I think Dwight probably knows that. Dwight clearly wants to be the friendlier part of this duel. But I think Shaq sees him and just sees a guy who likes to be like what Shaq was.
I mean, the Superman part is obviously the idea of biting style, although it's not exactly the most unique nickname that everybody has ever had, right?
Basically.
But no, like, Dwight and Shaq, they're clearly not the same person. They're clearly not with the same style, because Shaq is clearly doing something right now that Dwight Howard would never do.
He's also bigger.
Do you suffer aches and pains from poor circulation? Are tired, aching legs stopping you from enjoying life? You don't have